Balls are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! Got it by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now.
You found a way, okay? All right, now, what I tell you, okay? All right, this decade is going to be the decade of the Vols. You got it?
Reddit dit to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Wednesday, October 21st. It's Bama week. I just tweeted it. Down but never out.
Don't count us out. Don't pick us.
I think that describes my Vol mentality pretty well. The Vols have hurt me plenty in my life. Down but never out. I said it on Sunday. We'll be back Saturday cheering as hard as we ever have. Listen, I know a lot of us don't have a lot of faith for Saturday. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. But hey, you can't win if you don't try.
They got to play too. So,
Yep.
I don't know. I do want to address this real quick. And some people said we were kind of negative on Sunday. But after that performance on Saturday, like, how are you not at least kind of negative?
I feel like it's okay to be a little negative then.
Yeah.
We've never said Tennessee shouldn't have won that game. So I feel like that's
Yeah.
a little positive. I don't
We
know.
didn't say fire everybody.
Exactly. It wasn't great. It wasn't beautiful. But yeah, I mean, okay. Are we ready to move on? Should we move on from Saturday? I don't know. Because what's tough is, let's be honest about this week. You're not necessarily...
It's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate that you have to... But you're not really expecting to win this. Just be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Put on a better performance, especially offensively, than you have the last couple weeks.
Just be in the game.
Someone said it's okay to be negative when you have a clue what you're talking about. I hope that means we have a clue what we're talking about. So we appreciate it. I hope that's
It's a
what
little
that
bit
means.
slight.
He said we're cheerleaders. Okay, well, so we're not negative. I've never heard a cheerleader be negative. So
No.
I guess we're not negative then.
Yeah, that's good. Fine.
Perfect. Cool. All right. Well, that's okay with me.
Wish I could do a split, too.
Yeah.
Or a flip.
I'm good. I don't need to do a split. We don't know what we're talking about. You're right. The problem, and we're going to really get into the Bama preview, but what I want to see this week is strides offensively in terms of be a little bit more creative with your play calling, but also rely on what you're good at. That's what I want to see. Rely on what you're good at. Is Bama a better team than you? Are they going to beat you even if what you do really well, if you do it pretty good? Probably. But you know what? If you do what you do well on Saturday, that's what's going to give you a chance, and that's running the football. If you do that and rely on that and you do it well, you're going to have a chance, dare I say, of winning the ball game.
I think they should find some sort of identity. Like,
Yes. Which
the Missouri game to even Kentucky. If we're just looking at Missouri, Kentucky, I mean, those are two totally different games. And two teams you probably should have dominated. And you did dominate Missouri, and then Kentucky, you just kind of grabbed the bed. Because you got away from what you do best, and then you had mistakes at a position.
Yeah. I like what you said about finding an identity.
And that's players, too. Find some people that can make some plays.
Right.
And get them the ball.
You haven't found a consistent playmaker outside of Eric Gray, probably?
Yeah.
And you need that. You're going to need more than that to move on in the season. That now you need to go back to Eric Gray some and use him and utilize him, but that can't be your only playmaker for the season.
And I would say maybe Josh Palmer was, but in the Kentucky game, he had one catch for 11 yards.
Yeah,
you can't have your second best playmaker having one catch for 11 yards. You got to find a way to get him the ball.
Yep, absolutely. We are going to talk about the Alabama game, preview that Alabama team. I mean, the Alabama-Georgia game was a phenomenal college football game. I think it was the most watched college football game ever. Is that right?
Oh,
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact number, but I believe it was, or maybe it was regular season. Most watched regular season. Had a lot of viewers. It was a good football game. So you have two good teams. Obviously, that Georgia game when Tennessee played them was not ideal, but a lot of that came down to turnovers. Mm-hmm. And Nick Saban even said it about Tennessee. When you turn the ball, and Jeremy Pruitt's mentioned it, when you turn the ball over that much, you're not going to win.
No.
You're not. So that's where it starts. And you played Georgia well when you didn't turn the ball over. So that'll obviously be important Saturday and every Saturday. We will talk about Coach Brumbaugh being out. An exit that happened late Sunday, early Monday morning.
Yep.
And what, I guess kind of why, even though we don't really know the why. No one knows the exact why. There's some rumors, some things that have been put out there as to...
I love the rumors, like, apparently he got in a fight. Like, I love those. Because every time a coach is fired, like, that's a rumor.
Yeah, and...
Like, Jeremy Pruitt punched Mark Richt. I mean, it just happens.
Front yard.
Yeah.
Little front yard brawl. We'll talk about that. Talk about some of the quarterback position, because that's obviously the position that is being held under a microscope, rightfully so. So we'll talk about that and kind of what we want to see from it, and what other people have told us they want to see from it in the game this Saturday. And then we're going to talk about some basketball. It's back.
Got to throw in some basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to throw in some basketball. There's some news today with the Big 12.
Yeah.
SEC Challenge or SEC Big 12. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter how it's said in order. Kansas. Third season in a row. You like it? Or do you wish it was somebody else?
That's a third season in a row?
Third season we've played Kansas in a row. Yes.
Oh, wow. I was thinking it was just a second. I guess I'm just lost.
Because the first one was not in
the big. You're right. It was in the...
Because we played West Virginia, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right. It was... We played them in 2018 in November. Yeah, right before the Vanderbilt game.
Yep.
You're right. So I was just thinking of the Big 12 Challenge. You're right. Mm-hmm. Whatever. It'll be fun. That's cool. That's an interesting matchup. I feel like if you're gonna play that, I would rather, even if it's one of the tougher Big 12 teams, I'd rather play a Big 12 team that it's an entertaining game than a throwaway game.
Right. Yeah, and it's going to be in Knoxville this year.
Yeah, that'll be. I think. Well, we'll see with the crowd.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not going to be full, but hopefully there's some people. I'll wear a mask during the whole basketball game. I just don't know if I can do it for a whole football game
in the heat. And it's not gonna be hot anymore. It's not gonna be hot for that Florida game.
It's true. Trying to get tickets.
Let's try to get tickets.
Okay. We can't. We'll be in Las Vegas.
I hate Brody. But we are going to talk about some basketball expectations after Rick Barnes met with the media today. Then we're going to do our weekly college football preview, as well as our NFL power rankings. And then we've got our segments for the episode. Before we do that, Landon's going to tell you guys about some of the people that make this show possible.
Yeah, go check out our sponsors, Tennessee Tap House, Hound Dogs, and Blue Water Climate Control. Blue Water Climate Control will take care of all your HVAC needs, so go check them out right now before it gets cold, before you're stranded. Don't want to turn your heat on and it not work in the middle of winter.
No.
So make sure you're getting that taken care of now. I think they're giving away 40 free furnaces in October, November, so go check them out. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll get to those. We have some questions already for the show. But if we see some, I'm on Facebook. Caleb's on YouTube and Twitter. So if you have those, we will get to those. Oh, yeah. I hate hearing my own voice. It sucks. Also, tell us where you're listening from. Love to hear it. Big geography guys. Caleb was actually in a different state. He just got back from vacation.
Big geography. I thought I'd venture 2 states over for it to prove my geography-ness.
Okay, cool. So how was your vacation?
It was good. I told you I decommitted from summer vacations, and I'm officially an October beach guy.
Oh.
That weather was perfect. Apparently now it's rained the past 2 days down there since I've left. So, it's a soft commitment.
It's hurricane.
It's verbal. It's a verbal commitment.
Right.
So we'll see. We're trust in the process. We'll work through it. But
I feel like it's one of those you got to get lucky if you go at this time of year.
Exactly. Right now, I am 100% a beach guy.
Okay.
October beach guy. Verbal commitment, but 100%.
October beach. Just Tober.
Yeah.
October beach.
Yeah. Verbal commitment, 100% committed.
Okay.
60% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Top 3 tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, drop a top 30 first, and then we'll narrow it down as we go.
Exactly. You got it. You're with me.
And they're all going to be different. They're going to have different teams every time.
Exactly.
Love it.
Exactly. All right, Bama preview. Well, no, Brumbaugh. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of you. Obviously, like I said, late Sunday night news dump, maybe early Monday morning. Everyone found out that Brumbaugh, who was hired in March.
Yeah, 8 months on the job.
Well, defensive line coach was let go. I don't think it was related to play. Not that the defensive line's been spectacular, but just what a weird time to let a coach go for on-field performance, unless it was just completely atrocious.
Yeah, I think it's maybe been in the works before Kentucky, but I'm with you. It's a weird timing because after that Kentucky game, if you're like, okay, Sunday's an assistant coach is getting fired, I'm like, okay, it's got to be offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And then it's Jimmy Brumbaugh. It's just a weird timing. That makes me think it's kind of been in the works for a little bit.
It's certainly possible. Probably has along the lines to do with recruiting. I think that was mentioned by Volquest. Maybe not so much how effective he was in recruiting, but maybe some of the ways, his methods, I believe is what was said. Like I said, I'm sure on the field had something to do with it. Because if he was spectacular on the field coach and maybe wasn't a great recruiter, maybe at least you run it out through the season. But obviously there were some things that I don't think on the field had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I think maybe coaching styles probably had something to do with it too.
And that too. Yeah.
And Jeremy Pruitt, Jimmy Brumbaugh was the only one on staff that hasn't coached with Jeremy Pruitt before.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure that when he wasn't what he thought he was, I'm sure that kind of clashed. Also, he's an Auburn guy, so I know Jeremy Pruitt doesn't appreciate Auburn anything. So I don't know.
Fair.
It's just weird. It's just weird timing that after that game with the offensive performance, that's the person they let go.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I think it has little to do with
that game.
Not just that. I mean,
Jeremy Pruitt
through the first 4 games
hasn't been very complimentary of the defensive line throughout the.
Also, yes.
The season and the offseason. The fall camp, he was, and about every press conference, he was just like, "Yeah, we just got to get more out of him."
I think a lot of people. Because it's not been Tennessee's biggest weakness. Mm-hmm. Maybe the biggest weakness on the defense outside of defending the middle, but that's due to several factors, not one position group. You could pin it probably more on the linebackers, but it has a lot more to do with it has more to do with than one position group. So if you're going to pick on one position, maybe defensive line has been the weakest, but not by a long shot. They've played fairly well. But everyone assumed it would be a big weakness because, like you said, he was very critical of him early on in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I just think that's a position where you just don't have a lot of talent. Mm-mm. Like, you have the talent in the secondary, you have it at linebacker. It's just going in the past 2 seasons, we've said that's probably a question mark because you just don't have a lot of erasers. You don't have a lot of talent there.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah, it probably should be one of your biggest weaknesses. So.
Yeah. So, I don't think they necessarily upgraded with Jimmy Brumbaugh after Tracy Rocker left. But now you're having to pay a guy, I think $837,000.
Yep.
I'm saying it. If you're a coach anywhere, you want to come to Tennessee just because if they just let you go, you can just. He's got what 15 months that he can just relax.
Relax, man. Maybe go be a personal assistant.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're about to get into the Bama. We already have a question about Harrison Bailey.
I have some questions too already.
About Harrison Bailey? Well, you want to go ahead and get to those? James Gentry said he's out of Lebanon, Virginia. Big geography, guys. Thank you for that. He said, do you risk trotting Bailey out against Bama or risk losing the fan base starting JG? I'm glad you asked that because that's one thing I kind of wanted to mention. I'm not saying you have to start Harrison Bailey because I know that's a lot of people's opinion of, he could get killed. Maurer got killed last year when he went out there. He got a concussion, I believe. Got injured. And, yeah, I definitely understand that hesitation. When you look at confidence, maybe you don't want to. But he's got to play Bama at some point in his career if he's a starting quarterback at Tennessee. But, like I said, I'm not saying you have to start Harrison Bailey. But I feel like when you're looking to get more out of this position, looking to get more out of your offensive line, find some energy somewhere. If JG brings the most energy, I guess start him. But it doesn't seem like he does.
Right.
So start someone else. And, as we know from last year, JG played better off the bench. Bring him in if you want, but don't start him. I feel like it's time to at least start someone. Try someone else as your quarterback, your leader. I don't see how you're going to get more out of JG right now.
Yeah, and from his press conference, he said he wasn't going to put JG on a shelf, so that makes me think he's probably going to start JG. And I'll say this, if he continues to start JG and JG continues to play like he's played the last 6 quarters, I think they've had 1 touchdown, 7 turnovers.
7 turnovers.
Anybody can go out there and turn the ball over.
Accurate.
So, if he continues to do that, he's gonna start losing the fan base. And when the fan base becomes more less interested, I feel like that's where the team kind of disintegrates.
Yeah, the fan base, you obviously don't want to lose them, and you don't have a home field advantage really necessarily this year anyways.
Right.
So I guess that's not as big of a deal. But you certainly don't want to lose the team, and yeah, that's your biggest issue. Losing the fan base is obviously tough, but losing the team is really where you want to be. That's where your focus wants to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know it. I don't know enough about the guys in the program and their thoughts. I don't know how many people do. But that's definitely your bigger concern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's if he's getting sacked and we're having to punt the ball, that's totally different. But him giving the ball to them in their territory or just scoring a touchdown off of it, you just can't have that.
Yep.
Your defense can't really help you out that much if you're giving the ball in your own territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions about JG real quick, or we?
Yeah. So Matt Davis says, "Why is that Tennessee doesn't have one quarterback that is ready, yet there are other teams starting freshmen and walk-ons and succeeding with him?"
Yeah, man, that's tough. I guess to be fair, I don't think Georgia's is a walk-on anymore. I think they offered him a scholarship back. He was a walk-on his first stint at Georgia, then went to junior college,
Jones,
and improved. But I think it's a valid question still. That's one thing I was talking to someone about today in terms of we've talked about it. I think we talked about it on Sunday. If it's Chaney's playbook, then you've got to figure out a way because you have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. One's a 5th-year senior. One is a former 5-star. We can't find anyone that can run the offense. That's got to be coaching at that point. If you can't find one of those guys.
You got to simplify your playbook.
But doesn't it already look as simple as it can? There's hardly any pre-snap movement.
Well, and those two, like I pointed out last night on Twitter, those 2 interceptions that JG threw, there was an open receiver.
You did, yeah.
So it's not, if your first read is that out route on the first pick 6, and he's not open, you don't throw it. That's what you do as a quarterback. No matter what it's called, make a freaking play.
Yeah, that obviously you can point to play calling. It's like I said on Sunday, it's never going to be only about JG.
Right.
But there's mistakes that he could avoid still that he's not avoiding.
Eric Gray could have set a record for receiving yards on checkdowns alone if he would just because he did it twice before that second interception, and then that interception there was no one within 5 or 6 yards of Eric Gray and had to go to somebody else because he's already thrown it to him twice this drive.
And another thing, kind of pointing back to do I trot JG out there on Saturday? JG plays pretty good when his confidence is high. Still not fantastic, still not probably up to some of the standards that are set, but he plays pretty good when his confidence is high. His confidence is got to be an all-time low, no? So
Yeah,
why?
absolutely.
So why do you want? Give somebody else a chance right now. Let him maybe sit back and get a breather, not have that pressure of being a starter, and then see if you need him. Then do it. It seemed to work last year. I'm okay with trying that again because if Stroud can't get it done, Maurer can't get it done, Bailey can't get it done, fine. Then we can go back. But we don't know about anybody else right now. Maybe Stroud.
I think if he's continuing to put JG out there, I think it says a lot about Shroud and Maurer. I don't think Harrison Bailey. I don't think it necessarily says anything about him because he missed so much at fall camp. I think Brian Maurer missed a lot too, but Brian Maurer's been here for over a year. Mm-hmm. So I think it says a lot about them if he's continuously putting JG out there, even though he's making those mistakes.
I don't. Yeah. I'd still like to see some more game opportunities.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying for sure. I definitely still like to see some more game opportunities. I think that's what Tennessee could be better at as far as the quarterback position goes on Saturday. It's going to be there's probably not a really good right answer at that position for Saturday. It's kind of the unfortunate part about playing a team that's not only really good, but also played really well last week against one of the other top teams in the nation.
The good thing is Alabama's defense isn't what it has been in the past, but it doesn't necessarily have to be either.
Yeah,
there's talent,
and they're still going to be when it's all said and done. I know that Ole Miss game was I guess kind of a black eye on Nick Saban's typical defense, but when it's all said and done, they're going to be fine.
Oh yeah.
So
I just don't like. I don't think the notion of he's going to go out there and get killed. I think they're like 12th in sacks.
Yeah.
In the SEC. So, I mean, I feel like they kind of play base defense and just kind of give their offense a break.
Yeah, you need more. You're going to need more from your offensive line this week.
Yeah.
You need help from them. Talking about the Alabama game, obviously number 2 in the nation, 4-0. Looked really, really good against Georgia last week. When you look at what they have offensively, I didn't give Mac Jones enough credit at the beginning of the year. He's played really well. He's not asked to make a ton of great throws, but when he's been asked to make great throws, he's done it.
Yeah.
And he's been really successful. It kind of looks like almost how they eased Tua into it his first year as a starter. He did have Lane Kiffin there, but Steve Sarkisian's kind of from that same offensive style. So they've kind of eased Mac Jones into it. It helps when you have guys like Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith to make it easier on you. But when he's called upon to make good throws, he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. 78% of his completions he's completed.
He's looked really, really good. I thought he would be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC by default. I think he's just going to outright be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC.
And probably the country. I think you mentioned him maybe as a Heisman candidate. Yeah, I mean, him and Trevor Lawrence,
and Najee Harris, man. That dude. How is he 21 years old?
I mean, it's going to be a tough task for the defense because you have the SEC passing leader, you have the SEC rushing leader, and then you have the number 2 and number 3 receivers.
And Tennessee's not done great defending the slant, and they're going to throw a lot of slants on
And if
Saturday.
they don't cover them, they're going to the house.
Oh, I mean, they're often Alabama is taking those to the house, and Tennessee struggled, and they haven't had a ton of help, like I said, over the middle. It could be a long game playing these wide receivers if you don't defend the slant well.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Jeremy Pruitt makes his money.
Yeah.
Being a defensive guru, because
Does the defensive line get better this week?
what if they do? I mean, what if they go out and improve, like, not necessarily just against Alabama, but like the other 5 games of the season?
Maybe he's a position coach.
I mean, does he just stay there then?
I don't know.
I mean, because he's given the play calling to Ansley. I wouldn't hate it if they're better.
If it works, it works.
Yeah,
if it works,
if they're getting pressure and batting down balls and stuff like that, yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and it's definitely I like what you said about they're gonna have the defensive line's gonna have to help a lot defending the pass, not just pass rush. Georgia did a good job of it, of getting their hands up, knocked down a couple of those attempted passes across the middle, and like I said it earlier, you can pin a lot of the struggles to defend the middle on the linebackers, but on Saturday you're gonna need some help from your defensive line, and when they can't necessarily get a lot of push, get your hands in the air and see if you can knock some of those passes down.
Yeah, and if you do that, then Mac Jones is thinking in his head, oh, I got to get it up a little bit, and that leads to picks. Yeah. I think Tennessee is going to have to be like last year where you're going to have to get some turnovers to stay in this game.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of your only chances. I mean, that is probably your only chance. When you play teams like Alabama, you're looking to when there's not a lot, it's like Georgia, there's not a lot of weaknesses to exploit, you've got to try to just take advantages of the little breaks that are given to you. And so you're going to have to try and create turnovers. It's, you're playing a better Mac Jones this year. Last year, he gets put in there after Tua's hurt. Hadn't played a lot to that point. And, you're able to get a guy. He's not going to be uncomfortable this year. He's not going to be uncomfortable unless you go in there and make him uncomfortable by getting rushes or getting your hands up. And it's going to be a tough task, and it's going to help a lot too. It starts with control in the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be a tough thing to do when you talk about that offensive line who's really good and really deep, and then you got Najee Harris to run the ball. So if they don't block well, it's going to be tough to bring him down behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you're going to have to tackle well, and also you're going to have to be creative on defense because you can't just they're passing so well, we're going to drop 8 in coverage because Najee Harris is just going to destroy you.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Like I said, this is where Pruitt's going to make his money, being a defensive coach.
He judged on your games versus Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. So
yeah, not so great so far.
Not so great so far. And last year, I mean, you mentioned it was a 22-point game. That game really swung on that goal line quarterback sneak. That was really the swinging point of it. It's a lot closer game, obviously, if you score on that possession. But even then, the momentum's different. And I'm not saying Tennessee wins, but that game is different if that happens. And it didn't feel like a 22-point loss last year. Obviously, it was. And it was a tough one to swallow. But, this year, if you can keep it closer, I feel like you at least have a better feeling about the final 5 games. Because right now, after that Saturday performance, the final 6 games are not looking positive at the moment.
No, but in rebuttal to that is they are winnable games. Like, there's no one left on the schedule that you're just like, oh, that's definitely going to be a loss. Besides maybe Florida, which I don't think their defense is just that incredible.
And they're also
they look better than us, but
they're also missing a lot of time right now.
Yeah.
So if Tennessee can stay healthy, you at least have the advantage of practicing more than them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. I don't know. Something I want to see is, number one, find your identity. Some sort of identity. You don't have to win against Alabama, but prove that you're headed in the right direction and give your team some confidence heading into the bye week. And then you play a pretty good Arkansas team after that on the road.
Or at least a Arkansas team that kind of wreaks havoc.
Yeah.
I don't know about good, but they wreak havoc.
I mean, they look like
they make trouble.
Yeah, they look like one of the better teams. Like, they don't look as bad as they should.
They're probably the best team with a first-year coach. Am I forgetting somebody? No, that's probably accurate.
Probably right, yeah.
I guess Ole Miss could be argued because they have had an offense that's played really well.
Their defense,
so I guess
not so much.
No. Defense has struggled.
I also want to see us not get blanked in the second half. Let's go score some points. Let's get a little fired up at halftime, no matter what the score is.
Right.
To come in there and move the football and at least kick a field goal. I mean, shutout in the second half in the last 2 games, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see a better call game.
That makes people think you're quitting.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I think it's simple to say you'd like to see a better called game from Chaney. There were some high expectations for him. I mean, he's one of the higher paid coordinators. So there's some high expectations for him. I'd like to see him live up to it just a little bit. And you talked about finding that identity. I mean, the run game's got to be your identity. You talk about how you want to ride the backs of this offensive line. Well, give them a chance. Because they haven't looked great right now, but have you made it easy on them? I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. And yeah, I mean, for Tennessee's offense to be successful, you're going to have to rely more on the things you know you're good at than just trying to make JG do something, or whoever quarterback's in there doing something that they're just probably not capable of doing.
Yeah.
And I said it before we played Georgia, you might get beat doing that, But get beat doing what you're good at. Don't get beat trying stuff that you know is not going to work.
Right. Yeah, get the ball to your playmakers somehow, some way. Get Eric Gray out in space. Get some of these freshman receivers. Malachi Wadman can jump over. It doesn't matter if it's an Alabama DB. It doesn't matter if it's an NFL DB. He's going to jump up and go get it.
Yeah. Give him a chance.
Yeah.
Give him a chance. Don't
let him play
waste
some.
him. Don't waste Josh Palmer. You mentioned one catch for 11 yards. When you've got a playmaker like that, you can't let him hide for the whole game. You can't let him hide for the whole game. And I realize the quarterbacks just weren't on, but where are some of those screens that we used to run all the time?
I mean, be creative. You got to.
And then I think we only went to Velus Jones once against Kentucky on a little, which I know went for negative yards, but
because if you're getting them involved, if you're getting all those playmakers involved, eventually it's going to break loose.
Yeah, and at least you're going to make the defense respect you when you try to get the playmakers. Someone said Brumbaugh got fired during the Kentucky game. I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that either.
I haven't heard that. Maybe he means Pruitt decided during the Kentucky game.
I mean, that might have been true, yeah.
All right, so I know we're doing some... Are we even going to spend our time on the position battles? We can if you want to, but I think we know how some of it'll swing because, like you said, especially, I mean, defensively, their defense hasn't looked phenomenal this year, but they're very talented.
Right.
They're still very talented.
I mean,
no, let's not. Stay away from it.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's stay away from it.
I mean, would you give Tennessee any?
I might. My gut still tells me that offensive line's really good, and we just haven't helped them out. And so I'm. But it'd be offense
against their defensive line. Yeah, that's
it would
true.
still be yes. And
maybe a push.
Maybe a push. But I just don't think our play calling has helped them a ton. I don't think the quarterback play has helped them a ton. Yeah. And I'm not saying but I all these people want to give the confidence factor, the comfortable factor to the quarterback, but when we're going 5 wide on obvious pass downs, you're not helping your offensive line out.
And when you're constantly putting somebody else new in there,
and then you're not, yes,
there's no continuity,
right? And then how many passes are we attempting over the middle? So they're able to just blitz and not worry about that, and it doesn't help our offensive line any. And I don't know. I just think there's too much talent there, and then individual guys that grade good to not be more successful.
I think the highest. So I think 4 out of the 5 were offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Here, let me 1, 2. No, so 3 out of 4 were offensive linemen, and they're all 3 on that drive where we just ran the football down their throat and scored.
Yeah, and when you have a drive like that, and we talked about it on Sunday, I think you had that drive, and maybe you feel a little bit later in the second half that you don't have enough time, but you still had plenty of time. Just be patient, let the game come to you a little bit more. If you run the ball really, really well, especially late in the second quarter, they have to load the box a little bit more. Gives your receivers more opportunities. Gives your quarterback more opportunities. And you didn't do that. You started going empty, and you let Kentucky control the game.
Yeah.
If you let Alabama control the game, and they probably are. If you give them full control of the game, it's going to be a long game.
Yeah, pound that over.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you want to hear the quarterback grades for Kentucky? Do you want to hear that?
Oh, apparently Kentucky Sports Radio said that. They said they have a UT source. But I don't know.
A UT source?
I'm not calling you a liar, but I might be calling Kentucky Sports Radio a liar.
Yeah. I mean, we went there last year and we took over the whole bar. So
yeah, we did. You're right.
Jared Garantano, 29.8.
Yikes.
JT Shrout, 27.3. He only had 3 plays, but still.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
You're never going to win when your quarterback's grading out like that.
No. Nope. You got score prediction?
Oh, man. I didn't want to do this all day. I'll go 38-17.
Oh, okay, pretty close. Said 45-17.
Okay.
We're on the same track. So I've got. I mean, you talked about they're 21 now.
Yeah.
I think they started off 17, didn't they?
Yeah.
They moved up. I incorrectly on Sunday said 24. I maybe heard that was maybe one of the sports book. I don't know, whatever. So I obviously have the score prediction as them, but I don't know. 21's a lot of points, and if Tennessee has some pride about them, you have to put up a better fight this week, right?
Yeah, and
At least in the first half.
And I think Tennessee was overmatched last year and put up a good fight, and you're in it pretty much the whole game.
At least a first half fight before Alabama starts beating you with their depth. At least put up a good first half fight.
You know, what hurt you last year? Turnovers.
Turnovers killed you.
So if you're going to turn the ball over it's not going to be close.
No.
You think, how many timeouts does Jeremy Pruitt use before the half? Use all 3?
You got to use them. You can't take them with you. Use all 3. Use all 3.
So, let's... You want to talk about Jeremy Pruitt real quick?
Yeah. We can.
Okay. I mean, so before Kentucky, if you're not counting Kentucky, Georgia, you're just like, we played bad. It's okay. We'll get it fixed. Like, I don't think this is a bad football team. I think they have one position that's killing them right now. But I feel like we're one quarterback away from being a good football team. I mean, there's obviously stuff that you need to fix. There's stuff you can point out, but I feel like the Achilles heel is at the most important position in sports.
I think while it obviously, like you said, it's not the only problem, I think it is because it's the most important position, it is the most highlighted problem, and it's probably the most underperforming position. Mm-hmm. You could probably argue the offensive line. So I think that's why it's so easily noticeable. I don't think it's... I mean, it was the entire momentum shift in the Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't one pick six. It wasn't just 2 pick sixes in the game. It was 2 back-to-back pick sixes that killed you. And then...
And you fumble.
And then you did have a fumble earlier. And then you put another quarterback in there before the pick six. After the second one. Who throws an interception? So, I mean, even in that regard, it's not all on JG.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that position.
It's the quarterback position right now. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm with you. I think it's a good, consistent quarterback away from being a pretty good football team. Do you beat Georgia with a consistent quarterback? Maybe not, because their defense really just kind of, and obviously turnovers helped, but even then, I don't know how well you move the ball against them. So they may win the position battle and probably beat you by a couple points, maybe just a score. But you're a consistent, confident quarterback away from beating Kentucky, from being in the Georgia game, from probably being in the game this Saturday, and maybe JG gets back to that. Because if he's confident, if he's more consistent like he was, against Missouri last year, he had the best game. Against Kentucky, he was at least confident. He had some confidence about him.
In the second half of Georgia, he had some confidence about him.
Vanderbilt.
Or the first half of Georgia, sorry.
Yeah, Vanderbilt, we ran the ball a lot, but he helped us out in that game. I mean, South Carolina had a little bit of swagger to him, helps you out in that game before he gets injured. When he's confident, he keeps you in some games. May not win them for you, but he keeps you in them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's just a good, confident quarterback away from being a pretty good football team. Now, I think there's a lot of things to get fixed, but if you have a good quarterback, I think you're obviously a lot closer to being a great football team.
Yeah, that's why, we just had Dylan Brooks in here. He said, "Go Vols."
Go Vols.
Go Vols. Yeah. But there's this recruiting class is they're bringing in guys to fill holes. Mm-hmm. You need pass rushers. You need a Dylan Brooks. You need a mobile quarterback. You're bringing in Caden Salter. You need a linebacker. You're bringing in Terrence Lewis and Aaron Willis. There's guys in this next class to fill holes, but you got to give them something to believe you're heading in the right direction.
Right. And
that's why it's hard, because the quarterback position is so important that it makes your whole team look like you're only going to go as far as your quarterback takes you.
And you know, and it's not just on the quarterback position. You talk about the guys. You got to give them something to believe in. You can't lose this team because a lot of the turnaround you're trying to make happen at Tennessee is relying on this 2021 class. So you've got to keep this team together. You've got to keep this class together. And I'm not saying look forward to there's next year, but you can't have these skips in recruiting classes if you want to be a consistently good program. So as far as looking to the future, you cannot lose this team.
Yep.
Whatever it takes to hold them together. Mm-hmm. If JG's the freaking glue, then maybe you keep starting them because well, that's not true because if you lose like you did last week, there's got to be a change. But I think the team was a little apathetic last week. So whatever it is to keep this team together, to keep that recruiting class together, you got to find some consistency in that recruiting class. So you can't lose them. You can't.
Nope. Yeah, like Jeremy Pruitt's done a great job recruiting. I don't think anybody can argue that. But when he took this job, he said in the press conference he's going to be looked at when he plays Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. And then up to this point, he just hasn't been competitive in those games.
Nope. And if you want to compete in recruiting with them, and you're going to have to if you want to be competing for championships, whether it's the East, the SEC championship, national championship, you've got to compete against those three teams. Two of them are in your division. One is in your conference. You got to compete with them on the recruiting trail. It's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmies and Joes. You've got to compete with them. So you can't consistently get beat by 20 by them.
Right. And more holes to fill. A big back. You're getting Cody Brown. Tight end, Miles Campbell and Hudson Wolf are coming in. Maybe Rock Taylor fits that mold. He's an athlete that can play tight end, I guess. But just find something to get an identity. And I don't think that. I think the defense probably feeds off the offense. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's very deflating for a defense for them to go out on the field, get a stop, they go 3 and out, and they're back on the field having to get another stop.
Yeah,
because the offense can't.
Not only is it deflating, it's difficult to play defense in those circumstances. It is obviously mentally exhausting, but also time of possession matters in games.
Right. So I mean, at some point you got to be like, yeah, we're a team. But this is like, defense is our unit. We're going to do our job and not worry about what the offense is doing. Because it can't just take all the air out of you.
Yeah. Oh, man. I feel bad for the defense. I thought they played well against Georgia until they really just got...
They played good enough to win?
Yeah, until it got to the point where they're on the field the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It killed them. Do we want to do any? I know we talked a little about the quarterback. Do we have any more questions about it? Do you have anything else you want to mention about it? I kind of gave my spiel about I didn't say who I thought should start, but how I guess we could utilize that position group. You have anything else you want to add?
What do you guys think about Little coming to coach defense? Dustin Price said that.
Is it a real possibility?
I think Leonard Little just said that.
Just tweeted it. He's like, I got you.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate it. I mean, to come in and coach the rest of the season,
sure.
I mean, I would take John Chavis. Chief, baby.
Need Chief back on the sideline, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I
don't know.
I don't know. I mean, as far as evaluating Leonard Little as a coach, I just don't know much about his. I mean, obviously had a great playing career, so he knows how to play. But I don't know. I mean, I
kind of like Jeremy Pruitt there to see what he can do with a group.
It's gonna be fun to see how he manages the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, someone said go Bailey. I don't necessarily disagree with the people who go. I just don't really want to start him against Alabama. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I'm in the boat of like he's got to play him at some point. Let's play him now. Why not?
Yeah, and if you know,
he's got to play Alabama at some point is what I mean.
Right.
Not Jeremy Pruitt's got to play Bailey. If Harrison Bailey is going to be the quarterback at Tennessee, he's going to have to play Alabama. Go win.
And it
go compete.
You want to go win this game. I just don't see how, but like you want to you want to find something where you're able to compete the rest of these games after Alabama.
Yeah.
So if you're able to find a quarterback in this game, I think it sets you up for the bye week. It sets you up for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Dobbs didn't start his first game against Alabama, but he played his first snaps.
So Alabama. I mean, I think he's going to start JG, so I think if you do that, then I think you play multiple quarterbacks.
I think I just don't see JG being able to be in there the whole game.
No.
So, yeah, I'm with you. I think he start the way the press conference went today. Seems like
If we start D. Beckwith, that Wildcat quarterback, or Jimmy Holiday.
I would love. I said that, didn't I? I feel like I said that. See some Jimmy Holiday, Wildcat.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, some of that, and
I think I was saying
a
that
read
before the
option?
season. That had to be fun. Make offense fun again, Jim Chaney.
yeah, let's start throwing bombs everywhere.
Oreo Puppy Dog said, when Bailey took the field, he looked like a Clydesdale going in for a mule.
I just think, like, with
Tennessee walking horse, but yeah.
Harrison Bailey is, like, if we look at all the quarterbacks on the roster when they came out of high school, Harrison Bailey is the better of the four.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
100%.
And it sucks because he came here early to try to learn the offense, and obviously COVID happened. He hadn't been as much a part of spring or fall camp as you wanted him to be because of COVID, and it sucks. But is it possible to know the offense less than the current starter from the looks of it?
I mean, find an open receiver and hit him. I mean, like really just play ball.
Yeah. Play ball. I like it.
I mean, we haven't had, like, Josh Dobbs is the last guy that went out there and was just like, yeah, he's gonna, if the play breaks down, he's gonna make a play, and that's what we need. We need a gamer at quarterback. We just don't have one right now. Can it be Bailey? Maybe. I just don't think that they're willing to throw him in the fire yet.
They're definitely. I don't think they're willing to find out Saturday. I wish they would be, but I don't think they're willing to find out Saturday.
Right. Yep.
I wish they would be. All right. I feel like I'm exhausted talking about it, but.
What about the overreactions we got today? I'm glad our fan base doesn't overreact to anything.
No, they never would. I never would.
So are we really looking at Instagram stories and trying to...
Yeah, so, being around young people, high schoolers especially, and I mean, some of these kids are just out of high school, I've learned to never really try to read what they're putting on social media. They speak a different language than most of us. I'm not saying it's false. Like, it could be true.
Right.
I'm not willing to bet on it.
Right. And we're talking about the Henry Toto put on his Instagram story a picture of Harrison Bailey.
Well, and he put the fingers crossed emoji.
Right.
That was what everyone's like, all right, what does it mean?
Yeah. I just definitely not learned anything about, like, when Jonathan Kongbo put up the FIFA cleats.
I think that's a Butch Jones tall tale, though. That's my opinion.
I don't know. I mean,
come on.
I don't think, like, if you learn anything from recruiting and guys, like, just don't look into that kind of stuff.
I'm not saying he was definitely going to quit, but I don't think it had to do with FIFA. Is my point.
Oh yeah, it probably did.
Like, it probably
didn't have anything to do with really anything.
I think it probably had to do with football, and maybe it might not have been a serious thing, but maybe had something to do with it. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, media, like, we're really writing articles about a Instagram story post.
Right. That's fair.
Like, can we not be a little bit more creative with the content that we put out? I mean, if you're writing articles if you're going through players' Instagram stories and writing articles about it, you're no better at your job than JG is at quarterback. I'll say that.
Called out. Yeah, don't look too much into it.
Be better.
Pruitt didn't comment on it, right?
No, he didn't. Good. Butch Jones did. He did comment on the combo thing.
I assume, though, nobody asked Jeremy Pruitt about it either.
No, I don't think anybody asked. Because Henry Toto put a Brian Maurer with the same thing on there.
Yeah.
After that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, even worse. Oreo asked, is QB coach the problem, or is it JG? He's fifth-year guy and should have gotten more consistent by now. I mean, I think it's definitely fair to ask, like, how effective is Winky, but I'm not saying it definitely is. And then, I mean, you definitely got to put some on JG too. He's like you said, he's a fifth-year guy. A lot of people are like, well, he's had a different coordinator this year. He has the same one for 2 years. That's his first time in his career. I mean, you asked, he should have gotten more consistent. Yeah, he should have. So I think it definitely falls on JG. Obviously, it's him, so it falls on him quite a bit. But I don't know what the issue is, because you would think he would have gotten it by now. That's why my opinion is all signs point to him not being the guy. Move on. Pruitt said it about Brumbaugh. When you know that it's not working out, it's better just to go ahead and end it there. Just, it's not working out, just end it.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% true. I love that because you kind of use Pruitt's comment against him. But yeah, that's true. If it's not there, he just ain't got it.
Right. And I'm not saying
And so what does it do for you to keep putting him in and him keep playing like that? Because it's not going to help you in the future.
It's not going to help you in the future.
This is probably his last year.
Not helping you in the present.
Knock on wood.
Whoa.
Knock on wood. But, I mean...
Whoa.
I just don't.
I just think you've seen every bit you're going to get out of the guy.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
And Jeremy Pruitt did say he hasn't turned the ball over in practice. I'm like, but he is in the game, and that's where it counts. And if you're saying that, then that's telling a lot about your defense. If they can't, every other defense is having no problem getting turnovers from him. So why can't we?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I think I don't know if I said this on the show, but I definitely said it to you in terms of I get it. There's guys that just practice really, really well.
Yeah, and
those are the guys that you trust because you see them every day and you give them chances. I 100% understand that, but at some point you got to just sit down and go, he doesn't have it in the game though. We got to be a gamer. We got to find a guy that can do it in the game because that's no one gives a shit as a coach. You can go and you can coach 90 phenomenal practices, but if you're 10 games or you're fired.
Yeah, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No one sees practice. You don't know how anybody at practice anyway, so we can't see that. So what we see
what are we cheering for?
Yeah, what we see on Saturdays is what we think is going on in practice.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I do have some questions about this stuff before we move on. So Fire Chris Winkie said, what does it take to fire Chris Winkie? I just think he is recruiting Ty Simpson.
And that's, yeah.
I mean, so if you think that Ty Simpson is your answer to everything, like that's your once-in-a-lifetime quarterback, then you got to keep on staff.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, and that's why I said that about Brumbaugh earlier in terms of he's probably just not recruiting methods from what they've said aren't lining up with Pruitt. It makes sense because you mentioned it earlier. Pruitt is very high. If you recruit well, he's going to try and find a place for you on the staff.
If you don't, you ain't going to stay here very long.
You're gone. So obviously Winkie, he thinks what he's doing in the recruiting on the road is really, really effective, likes what he's doing. I think it's got to do more with that. Now, I got to think, if he was that quick to get rid of Brumbaugh, surely if he sees it on the field not working out, he'll cut ties. Surely.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think you have a great answer at quarterback right now.
Right. No, you definitely don't.
And that's alarming. It's not good. We also have Matthew. He said, just talking with several friends who all are Vol fans, we can't understand why Brumbaugh was chopped over Winkie.
Like I said, I don't think this was a performance in terms of field, like what you see on a weekly basis. I just don't, because the defensive line hasn't been terrible. Now, like you said, maybe it's a coaching style thing in terms of how they approach it every day.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is a performance grade. I see why everyone thinks it because it's a fire in the middle of the season. It's interesting. It's weird. But I think I'm not saying he got in a fist fight or anything, but I think there's maybe some coaches' room issues, some potentially practice field issues, and then like mentioned about the recruiting, obviously there had to be something there for Pruitt just to be ready to get rid of him.
And I think if you fire Winkie, are you not kind of questioning Jim Chaney too? Because he's got a hand in the quarterback development too. It's not just Chris Winkie.
Yeah, and last year when the offensive line was struggling a little bit, Jim Chaney kind of stepped in and helped Will Friend, and the offensive line arguably got better. Could that be something he does with the quarterback? And then you're definitely able to grade him a little bit better. Obviously, he spends a lot of time with the quarterbacks. Maybe focuses a lot of his time there now that's the position that really needs some help right now.
Yeah. I mean, if it's... I think Pruitt said he would like... JG would like to take 3 or 4 plays away from that game, and that's fine. But, like, if you have that bad of 4... Like, those 4 plays are that detrimental to the outcome of the game, like, you just can't have it. Mm-hmm. You just got to make a change. You got to do something to get the offense back in its flow. And I think a fresh face at quarterback might help.
If anything, you get some energy. And that's why I'm like, JG probably, even if you start another guy, I understand JG probably plays against Alabama. But if you start another guy, do you at least bring some energy to the team and see if that can ignite a fire? I don't know.
So if you're the coach, who are you rolling with on Saturday?
This is probably my hottest take so far this year. I think I'll just go Brian Maurer right now as a starter. Every time he's come in, and it has very little to do with his football play. Every time he comes in, the team seems to just find a fire.
Yeah.
And you're not going to win unless your pregame. I mean, unless you practice really well and execute really well on Saturday, and your pregame speech is really freaking good, and you win the play you control the play from the very first whistle. I mean that's easier said than done against Alabama. I realize that. But JT Shrout, I like him. I've always, I said before, at least Harrison Bailey got here, I thought he was one of the more talented quarterbacks on the roster. But he doesn't bring the fire Brian Maurer brings.
No, he doesn't.
I like Harrison Bailey. I think as it stands today, he's the quarterback for Tennessee in the future. But the drive, which, you didn't really give him a ton of chances, but he didn't look phenomenal. And I'm not saying you should assume everything that you saw from him on Saturday is what he has. But you just didn't see a ton. It was late in the game. He may bring energy too, but you just don't know. Brian Maurer brings energy when he steps out there. I think I'll just start with him.
I think it was kind of weird that he didn't get an opportunity.
I think so too. I think it may have to do with...
Because they said Harrison Bailey didn't have a clue of the game plan against Kentucky, which...
That's a bad mark on your coaching, right?
Right. Yeah, because he sits in meetings.
Right.
He knows.
You hope so.
And, what more did you do against Georgia and Missouri than you did for Kentucky? Did you do a ton of stuff that different? Because it didn't seem a lot different to me.
Right. And do you, at that point in the game, if you're just trying to get some freshmen, which I guess that's why they decided to put him in there, because we talked about, we were hoping it would be a blowout the other way and you can get more quarterbacks in. You don't have to run your game plan at that point. You just get him in, try to get him some snaps. But, were they useful snaps? I don't think so, but maybe some people think so.
Let's give kind of Brian Maurer and even Shrout and Bailey some work with the ones in practice. Jeremy Pruitt said they did give more quarterbacks reps with the ones, but see how much different it is once they're lined up with Trey Smith, Cade Mays, and people like that in front of them. That's got to build confidence, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And it's tough with what's... I'll give a little... I know I'm going to sound like I'm making an excuse for Jeremy Pruitt. This year, it's got to be tough with fall camp and having a quarterback competition. It's got to be tough. And then in a season, you don't want to have a quarterback competition every single week. But right now, you have to have one, right? Yeah. It's not working.
And everybody's gone through something like this with COVID. It sucks, but you got to make do. That's why you're in a better position than Arkansas.
Yeah, I would think so. And I'd hope so.
Missouri, yeah, you have a better situation
probably
with depth
Mississippi State
and the roster than those coaches have.
So who do you roll with? Who are you going with?
I'm kind of with you. I like what Brian Maurer played against Alabama, so it's not like you're just throwing him in against Alabama to get him killed. Right. And he can make plays with his legs where nobody else on that roster can.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So yeah, I like what. If he does mess up, then maybe you try to roll a different quarterback, and maybe JG comes in and does fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think you got to change something. You can't just stick with the same thing over and over again if it's not getting any better.
Yeah, I think it seems kind of...
insanity, right?
Insanity, exactly. I'm not calling Jerry Pruitt insane, and maybe my word or my choice of how I said it, I question his competitiveness. It's not necessarily... There's a lot of people, Butch Jones, that maybe want to be right more than they want to win.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that Pruitt doesn't seem like that kind of guy. He seems like a win. I'll do anything that it takes to win. I'll even eat asparagus if I have to win. It seems like that kind of guy. So I just don't think that is the case, but it seems like it's the case if he keeps rolling with JG.
Yeah.
Because you've got these guys in practice that you go, my heart tells me they don't have what it takes to get it done, but they also we haven't seen them. So I mean, how do we really know? So it just seems like right now the coaching staff may think they're right, and it's time to maybe. Right now you're not right. I mean, you're not. JG's he's not getting it done. He's not getting it done. And I'm not trying to hate on him. I mean, his, I guess, redshirt sophomore year, we were like, you got to start him. He's probably the best QB on the roster. Keller Chris wasn't going to be much. And then JG, you knew he's probably going to be your quarterback for the next year or two. And we were like, you got to go with him right now. So it's not like we hate JG and we're ready to move on from, it's just, he's not getting it done. Next guy up, period. Yep. It's not, we don't hate him just to hate him. I don't even hate him. It's just, he's not getting it done. Move on.
Yep.
Move on.
Yeah, he's not gotten significantly better since he's been on campus.
No, and then the last couple of weeks, poor guy, he's
gotten worse.
He struggled. And maybe it's some confidence, but 3 plays isn't going to calm him down. Like you said you tried to.
Right.
I don't know. All right, well, let's talk a little bit more positive. Let's get a little bit more positive. Let's talk some basketball because Rick Barnes met with the media today. SEC basketball. It seems like everybody in the country is kind of on that same schedule. Started a week earlier than normal to give some more time for some practices because just like football, they'll have some guys that'll sit out due to COVID throughout. So they're trying to allow teams plenty of time to get those practices in before the season starts. Obviously, you got to be excited for Tennessee basketball, right? Or Tennessee fans taking the old Tennessee approach where you're just maybe not too excited yet.
I'm excited. Because, I mean, Rick Barnes went out there and said it today. He said it could be the best team we've had.
So this is my take. Maybe getting into it a little bit earlier. I'm not saying this. It probably should be Tennessee's best team.
Right.
But it is 100% going to be Tennessee's best bench in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and probably
maybe even before then.
And probably the most athletic he's ever had a team.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like what he said about the defense, and they're going to be a little bit more stingier this year and going to be able to make some stops more than they were last year. I mean, you obviously return East Pawns. John Fulkerson, bless his heart. Baby Giraffe can still make some plays out there.
He's all SEC.
He is. He's an all SEC player. And so, yeah, that defense, you have Josiah Jordan-James, Devontae Gaines, who last year pretty much just came in to defend guys. That was pretty much his only responsibility. He said it himself. He's like, I think that's what's going to be asked of me this year. So he can be a really stingy player. EJ Anasicki plays in the paint really, really hard. He's a graduate transfer. So I'm excited about the defense for sure.
Yeah. And then you got some defenders that can defend the ball handlers.
Yeah.
Vescovi did a good job on people. He's not as fast and quick, but apparently he's gotten a lot faster and a lot quicker.
And he struggles to create turnovers on defense, where he'll stay in front of them and he'll make it hard on them to score. He struggles to create turnovers, where that's something Devontae Gaines is much better at than
Keon Johnson, Jaden Springer, they're defenders.
Yeah. And that obviously phenomenal on the offensive end, but really good defenders too. And man, I really hope Olivia Kumwa has progressed. I liked him a lot at the beginning of last year in the hopes that he would progress a little bit more and be more effective. Now I know he hadn't been with Tennessee's staff the whole offseason, but he's had an offseason where he's played college basketball now. Hopefully that improvement happens, because I'm not expecting him to be a super impactful player this year or anything. And the good thing is he's not going to be asked to be. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see, hopefully he progresses a little bit, and he maybe gives you some. He's a big guy.
Yeah, I think Tennessee needs. That's maybe one kind of question mark, I guess, on this roster is like a rim protector.
Yeah, but the good news is you have Pons.
Right, you have Pons, but I guess not necessarily a rim protector, to be just a big presence in the paint.
Oh, absolutely, because you hoped Urosh could be that, and he just wasn't. But he's now had a season that he's played. That was his first year playing
college basketball,
playing minutes in college basketball. He had been at Arizona State for a season,
right?
But he's redshirted.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe he develops into a decent guy that can come off the bench and play a couple minutes.
And then guy we haven't mentioned, guard Victor Bailey Jr. a lot of people, I don't like that I'm hearing this because you heard it about Jalen Johnson, that he's one of the best players on the team. And some people say one of the better basketball players you've ever seen. This is a guy that started or was on the bench last year because he was a transfer, and he could be your starting point guard.
I think Tennessee has something they didn't have last year, and that's multiple ball handlers that can be on the floor at the same time.
That and guys who can bring the ball up the court.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even Santiago Escovy, you would rather him be an off the ball guy, and he was your guy bringing, and he's a good ball handler. Not to discredit him, but now you have guys that can bring the ball up the court and they can play with more speed going at the rim, which just makes everyone around you a lot more effective.
And I think the lack of ball handlers that you had last year made it a lot more difficult on Vescovi.
Yeah,
because he felt that like he had to bring the ball up the court every time. Or you had Josiah Jordan James, but he didn't do a ton of it throughout the year. It was mostly Vescovi. And, I just think he felt that pressure on him the whole time.
Yeah,
as a true freshman.
Yeah, right. And Barnes even said he's probably going to be improved as a defender. Really worked hard this offseason to get a little bit more, little quicker, I think is what he said. Looks a little bit more athletic. So, and he wasn't, like you mentioned, he wasn't a bad defender.
And you got shooters. You're relying on some freshmen to have big impacts, but it's kind of guys that you haven't really had in your program.
No, these are one and done type guys that can. I mean, they may not look great in November, but they can do it.
And you already have an all SEC top players with Pons and Fulkerson, so you have some leadership. So, and you have a decent bench where they've actually played minutes last season. So, I'm really excited. So, what is your expectations? I guess as far as like SEC and maybe NCAA tournament, where do you think this team, if you just looked at them right now, that's where they are, that's where they should be?
Yeah, it's tough to say how many wins just because I don't even know how many games they're going to play this year.
Yeah.
So that would be a tough judgment to make just because I'm unsure. I think this team in SEC play should be a top team. There's no reason not to be. You're going to be one of the more talented teams in the SEC. Not a lot of people should be able to run with you for 40 minutes. So I think it's hard to say 1, 2, 3 somewhere in there, but top 3 I think is what they should finish because how many teams are going to be as talented as you? You talked about the experience they carry. Not a lot of people are going to carry that experience alone. And then the freshmen you brought in a top 5 recruiting class.
Yeah.
So you also bring in
didn't really lose much.
No, you didn't, and so. I mean, the guy you did lose just wasn't as effective as he last year, so you pretty much didn't have him last year.
Right.
But yeah, so I think top 3 is a absolutely where you should be. I think anything below that is certainly a letdown. And then you should be playing in the SEC championship game. That's somewhere you should be, absolutely. And then as far as NCAA tournament goes, it is tough, I think, to judge where a team should finish.
Yep.
It's very tough. But I think anything short of the Elite 8, because you're looking at guys that are probably one and done. And then you got to go and re-recruit and try to get back there and use the experience around you to get even farther. But I think a team that you don't have a lot of guys that have been there. You'll have Fulkerson and Pons, right? And that's it. Yep. So you don't have a lot of guys that have been there. That lacks, and that sucks. That's maybe a little bit of where you were just really top-heavy that one year. And so that sucks. But I think anything short of the Elite 8, and I think you're talking about being pretty disappointed where this team goes. Now, obviously, when you look at, I mean, does a team get hot like freaking
Loyola
Chicago? Loyola Chicago. What's that lady's name?
Sister Jean.
Sister Jean, that's what I was trying to say. I mean, obviously, when you talk about teams that get hot like that, sometimes you run into teams of destiny and it happens, and it feels like Tennessee always does that.
Right.
And then, it kind of depends on you get in a good bracket, too. But I think Tennessee has the talent and the experience to absolutely be an NCAA Sweet 16 team, and then after that, you're just one win away from being, I think, where you probably should be in the Elite 8. And that's tough to say, I think, because basketball is just weird when you get into postseason, but you certainly have the talent to be there and the experience to match it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's no reason why you shouldn't be top 3. Kentucky and Auburn, or you should be right up there with everybody. Like, as far as talent-wise, there's nobody in the SEC that's just head and shoulders better than you are.
No. Somebody said, hold on, somebody said, what's up? Sorry, we did just talk about Bama. I'm sure we'll mention it again throughout the show. I guess you just joined. Good to have you. We're talking about basketball right now. SEC basketball starts up today, and
There's some
Tennessee
positive
basketball.
right now. We need some
Yeah,
positive.
we need some positivity in our lives. So we're talking a little bit Tennessee basketball as they're getting started up.
Yeah, I think you have some ball handlers on this. You have some shooters. You have some added athleticism, which I think Tennessee needed last year, and you have experience, like you said, with Pons and Fulkerson, who have been all SEC top players. I just think it adds up. Like what you needed last year, you've kind of filled that.
Right.
So I think this team should be really good. I mean, you went in Kentucky last year and beat them with the team that you had, and you went into Kansas and gave them all they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the talent was there, the effort was there. It just, I think you just needed some more.
There was some very, very obvious holes, especially before Vescovi arrived.
Right.
That made it very difficult to compete
And
with some
he
teams.
helped, but it wasn't enough to make them a contender in the SEC.
No, I mean, all the Rick Barnes can't recruit haters certainly had plenty to say last year, which is fair. We'll see this year.
Yep.
We'll see this year. I really like the EJ Anasicki pickup. I know I talk about it a lot on the show when we talk about basketball. He is, I think, a guy that embodies kind of the way Rick Barnes plays basketball. So,
Like a Grant Williams.
like a Grant Williams. I'm not saying he's as good as a Grant Williams, but like a Grant Williams.
I mean, you need some, because like Pons and Fulkerson aren't like rebounders.
No, they don't. They'll go up and be around the rim, but they're not moving guys around.
Right, yeah.
You need people that'll move guys around.
That's where Anasicki comes in.
Yeah, and that Kumwa, I think Kumwa could do that.
Yeah, another Urosh.
Uros should be able to do that.
I think
7 foot,
I think we
260.
definitely need a big man like going forward. If Kumwa and Urosh just aren't it this year, I think you definitely need to find a big man for the future.
And a big man that's effective in terms of rebounding in the paint. Not, I mean, a guy like Pons is awesome and fun to watch, but and some days he's really, really good at rebounding because balls are just popping off the rim. But you need guys that'll go in there and move people
But he's
around.
like once in a lifetime.
Yeah,
athleticism.
that
so,
too. That as well.
so good luck if you can find another Pons. Hey, more power
Dude,
to
yeah,
you.
go do it. I'd love to have Pons and stick around. And then is John Fulkerson gonna be a lifer?
He is a lifer.
Is he gonna be a lifer?
Gotta be.
What about what'd you think about, trigger you a little bit about the Kevin Durant, John Fulkerson comment? He said that Kevin Durant's a guy he'd love to be on your team forever. He's like, John Fulkerson though I'd love to have John Fulkerson on my team forever too. I think that's a comparison.
So John Fulkerson and Kevin Durant are the same.
I didn't say it. Rick Barnes did.
There you go. Tennessee national champions. They're crowned.
Yep, absolutely.
We have a question about this. First, he has it's Cole World. He had a question about did have it. Oh, he said football. Looking forward strictly for the future benefit of the program. Who do you roll with? We mentioned kind of Brian Maurer. I said you played multiple quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't think it's rolling with Brian Maurer for the future. I think it's just Alabama when you're looking to find a fire to ignite. I just think Brian Maurer brings that spark to the team for whatever reason. Maybe it's his personality.
It's got to be
maybe
Maurer
it's his swagger. I just think when he started or when he came in last year, you could see it in the way the team walked and the way they played. I just feel like Saturday, if you're looking for that spark, you got to go Maurer.
Yep. I don't disagree.
And it may be somebody different against Arkansas after the bye week.
I mean, But if you find somebody in this game, then you have a full week of practice to prepare for, or 2 full weeks of practice to prepare for Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's Cole World also says, basketball, your projected starting 5 and 6 man.
Come on.
Predicted breakout player, predicted best freshman. Ooh. So starting 5, I'll go first. I got Vescovi starting at point guard.
Okay.
I got Victor Bailey Jr. at guard, and I have Keon Johnson at guard. And then I got Pons and Fulkerson. I think 6 man, that's kind of... I think it's probably Jaden Springer, Josiah Jordan-James, or E.J. Anasicki. I feel like those 3 guys probably play an equal amount.
Yeah. So you don't... Who's your 4? Sorry. You're 4 and 5. I didn't miss it.
Pons and Fulkerson.
Yeah, okay. So you didn't have Jaden Springer in the starting lineup.
No,
I
I don't
probably
necessarily
agree
think
with
it's a knock on him. I think
Right.
he'll
There's a lot of
play
talent.
plenty.
I'm hesitant on the Vescovi thing just because speed, but he did a lot of good things in terms of making the offense effective, even without speed.
He can shoot.
And he can shoot. I'm definitely going to go Victor Bailey and Keon Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Fulgerson and Pons are obviously your 4 and 5. I struggle with that third guard spot. Maybe it is Vescovi. I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
From what
there,
Rick
honestly.
Barnes said about Vescovi today, I just
Yeah.
think that's probably...
Yeah, six man. I think it could be Springer or Josiah Jordan James. I think Josiah Jordan James, depending on your definition of breakout player, I think he's going to have a much better year this year than he did last year. I don't know how great of a game how great of a season he has. I think he, depending on minutes, I think he is a guy where you're going, okay, maybe a couple triple doubles, because he has the ability just to be effective in all stat categories. And so I think if he gets a lot of minutes a game, it's possible that he does that.
And he can come in and play some post, too.
Yeah.
Like he's a bigger guard, so he can
Right.
maybe bang around with a power forward or something like that.
I agree. And I think kind of like Bowden, how he was asked to do a lot last year, Josiah Jordan James was asked to do a lot last year. Some of that is off of his shoulders, so I think he's going to be more effective than he was last year. But I think as far as six-man goes, I think it's really tough because Jaden Springer, Josiah Jordan James, and EJ Anasicki are all three going to come off the bench really quick, I think.
Yep. I think they'll play not the same amount of minutes as the starters, but probably
Pretty
very
close.
similar.
Yeah, pretty close. I'd say EJ Anasicki will probably play less than
Pons and Fulgerson.
but he'll play quite a bit, I think.
Yep.
So. Yep. What was there another one in there? Was there another question in there that they wanted us to do?
No, it was
Okay.
just a football. And
Gotcha. Cool. All right.
Oh yeah. Breakout player. Sorry.
Breakout. See, that's what I thought it was. I think I'm gonna say Josiah because I think the expectations for Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson are probably gonna be about right. I think Josiah Jordan James is just gonna be allowed to be more effective because he's not gonna do things that aren't asked of him. Mm-hmm. So I think breakouts may be tough. He may not be an all SEC guy, but I think he's a lot more effective this year than he was last year because of what he's allowed to do or asked to do.
Yep. I'm gonna go Victor Bailey Jr. You didn't see him
that.
last year. I think he gets a starting job, and I think you're really going to be happy with how athletic this lineup is, and then Victor Bailey Jr. is going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best freshman, I think we both agreed, Keon
Johnson probably.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how if Devontae Gaines is able to be effective on the offensive end, he could find a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Then the SEC Big 12 Challenge, we play Kansas. I think that's scheduled for January 30th in the SEC Big 12 Challenge in Thompson Bowling Arena.
Sounds like it might be one of the only non-conference games. So is it no neutral site games? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you could be
And
playing.
I think Rick Barnes said today he's having a hard time with the out-of-conference games.
Okay, so because you're gonna have a lot of teams that won't travel.
Memphis and Wisconsin.
Memphis was gonna be a neutral site game. That's
Right.
why it's
That's why it's difficult. And then
they
Wisconsin's having some issues with the Big Ten. So.
right, and they probably won't be. All signs point to that rivalry being done for now, so that's why it wouldn't go back to a home and home. I think.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to play it. I think the people of Tennessee deserve it, but
Yep.
Tennessee basketball fans deserve it. But what are you gonna do?
Whatever.
Yep. What are you gonna do?
And then this is the first time we'll play Kansas in Thompson Bowling Arena since we beat them when they were number 1.
Nice. I saw a bunch of the tweets today of reliving that one a little bit. So I like it.
So who you got? What's
You
your
make
score,
me-
what's your score prediction?
Tennessee versus Kansas.
Yeah.
Vols by 100.
I love it.
Vols by 100.
Love it, baby. I'm ready for some money.
Oh yeah.
Some money.
Money calls.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Some Burt money.
Yep. Perfect. All right.
College
College
football.
football. Yeah, I almost skipped to NFL. Sorry. College football preview. Obviously, number 2, Bama at Tennessee this week. That'll be the SEC game of the week.
Yay.
Kentucky at Missouri. Auburn at Ole Miss. I'm on Ole Miss.
I think that, like, I wanted to mention that too, because who you're going against in recruiting for the guys you have currently committed, I mean, your competition's mostly against Auburn, and they haven't looked great either. So
Good point. South Carolina at
guys, you're
sorry.
going against Georgia. That kind of sucks, but
Yep. South Carolina at LSU, and that is all of the SEC games this week.
oh yeah, COVID.
And Boz. Boz are starting up.
So is Nick Saban going to beat COVID again this week?
Already beat it. Saving by 100. 100 test.
Yeah. I'm going to take it every hour on the hour until they are all negative.
Oh, it was awesome.
Whatever.
Illinois. Oh, Big Ten starting up. Illinois is at number 14, Wisconsin. Then you've got Syracuse at number 1, Clemson. Nebraska at number 5, Ohio State. Number 25, sneaking in, NC State at number 14, UNC. Kansas at number 20, Kansas State. Georgia Southern at number 25, Coastal Carolina. Go Chants. Still don't know if I'm saying that right. FAU at number 22, Marshall. Number 3, Notre Dame at Pitt. Number 17, Iowa State at number 6, Oklahoma State. Number 8, Penn State at Indiana. Number 19, Virginia Tech at Wake Forest. Number 18, Michigan at number 21, Minnesota.
Be a good game.
Should be. Virginia at number 11, Miami. Number 9, Cincinnati. At 16, SMU. And
I
then
forgot
Texas
Shane
State.
Buechele is their quarterback.
Who's that?
Shane Buechele, who was at Texas before Ellinger took over.
Ellinger.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. Texas State at number 12, BYU. Man, I went to bed Friday night. BYU, I was like, dude, they might get upset. Who'd they play? I was like, they might get upset. Woke up and they had just dominated. So it was sad. I was kind of cheering. I'll be honest. I was kind of cheering for BYU to beat
Houston.
Yeah, Houston. It was a close game in the second quarter. And I went to bed. And it was not close when I woke up. Not close at all. I hate the Big Ten, I'll be honest. But I'm excited that they're starting back because some of those games, more football, and some of those games are actually fun to watch. So.
Yep.
Probably not.
Like the Minnesota-Michigan game will probably be good.
You got Scott Frost making things interesting for Ohio State? Maybe?
No.
No.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. I don't disagree. Not a chance.
No, not a chance. Do you want to pick the SEC games?
I guess. I've got Ole Miss beating Auburn. What did I just say? Auburn.
Where's it at? Do you know?
It is at Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll probably go Lane Train too.
That offense just isn't great, and then Auburn's defense, they're not bad, but they're not going to stop Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of in the
Consistently.
same boat as Tennessee. Like, they needed an offensive identity too. They just don't have one.
I don't know what is up with Bo Nix. I know I was wrong about him. That's what it is. I just don't want to be wrong. But a lot of people.
So
say
you'd
he wasn't
rather
good.
win, or you'd rather be right than win?
Nope. I'd rather win. I like to be right, but shit, I'm way too competitive
I feel you.
to lose being right.
And then who else we got?
Oh, and then Kentucky at Missouri. I'm not willing to take Kentucky outright. I'm not. But I think they do, but I think Missouri has a chance.
Yeah, I'll probably go with Kentucky. Just because I guess they're just going to keep on getting picks.
That is possible. That is possible. And then South Carolina at LSU. I think that's gonna be another interesting score. I don't think it's gonna be a good game, but another interesting score. I think I'm gonna go LSU, but South Carolina could do it. I think.
Yeah,
It's at LSU. It's at LSU.
If Kevin Harris has a big game, I think they pull it out. But
I'm not willing.
I just think LSU has way too much talent to lose.
Right. I don't disagree. They did lose to Mississippi State, but
Missouri.
and they did. I forget they lost to Missouri. That was Georgia week, so forgotten a lot about that. Was that Georgia week or was that Missouri week? That obviously was Missouri week. I'm an idiot. Georgia week.
I don't know. Like, that's a tough game to pick.
I think I'm gonna go LSU.
I want to see the line on that.
That's what I was about to go check. Yeah, I'm with you. I think LSU's just got too much talent. It is at LSU, if that means anything right now this year. But, yeah, the line is 6. -6 to LSU.
-6. Yeah, I'll probably go LSU just because Terrace Marshall will probably have a good game against Missouri secondary. Ooh.
Something had to fall. You knew that.
Yep.
Auburn's just -3 against Ole Miss.
I just don't think Auburn is able to stop Ole Miss. And Auburn's defense or offense doesn't look good enough to keep up with them.
No, absolutely. What do you think the over-under is?
It's got to be like 50.
70.5.
That's a ton.
Life's too short to bet the under, okay?
I'm
Life's too
betting the
short.
under.
I'm
You got
not.
to, right?
I'm not. So
You're betting the over? You'd bet the over.
I think so.
That's like 30 to 40. I don't think Auburn can score 30 points.
Ole Miss has not had a game. They had the game last week against Arkansas. They scored 54. Other than that, they've not had a single game under 70. Under 80. I think I'll take the over. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think I'll take the over.
That's a lot of points.
I agree. What do you think the over-under... Oh, God. What do you think the over-under for the Alabama game is?
65.
Nice. 66. Nice.
They're putting up points.
Yes.
I think 48 a game is what they're putting up.
Something like that. Yep. I'm afraid that one may hit. Bet the over. Life's too short. Bet the over. Do it. Okay. Perfect. Let's do the NFL Power Rankings. Yeah, NFL Power Rankings.
Yeah. Number 1. Who you got?
I think I got to stick with the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs as well. Number 2.
Seattle.
I got the Seahawks.
Nice. Are we going to be exact to that? Number 3. Me and you disagreed last week, I think, by one position. I went Titans.
Titans, baby!
Tighten up.
Tighten up.
They're back, dude. The finale of that game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love Derrick Henry, dude. I hate that he was a Bama guy. I love Derrick Henry.
Dude, he's a truck.
Yeah.
I forget the tweet I had about him. I think it was like he's a diesel truck trapped in a human body.
22 carries for 212 yards.
Jesus Christ.
And then Ron Tannehill. I said you shouldn't have paid him that much. I said it. But
He's
5-0.
Yeah. He's playing.
And they look like one of the best teams in the league.
And he looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah, if he wins you games, pay him money, man. So I'll do it. I don't know. Whatever. If he wins you games, whatever. It still feels like a high price tag. But whatever.
But if you're going to be undefeated right now, then you got to.
And he's played pretty good. So.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Number 4.
Or 4. Number 4.
I got the Ravens.
I got the Ravens too.
Nice. Number 5.
I got the Buccaneers.
Ooh.
I thought they did look
good.
And it's Tom Brady. They didn't hit the over.
They did look good. I have them at
disappointing.
like 6 or 7 right now. With maybe interchangeable with the Packers. But 5, I got to go Steelers. You're undefeated. You keep winning games.
That's fair. It's fair. Fair. They whooped the Browns this week, man. Golly, dude. That's got to be the most up and down team in the league, right?
The Browns?
Yeah.
100%. You have way too much talent.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a coaching nightmare. What are the two? What's the common denominator between the Browns and Tennessee? The mother effing Haslam's. Don't shop at Pilot, folks.
Do you think
Boy,
the Haslams are still involved at Tennessee? I know they are, but maybe in the athletic department.
Yeah. They donate money. Their opinion matters. Your opinion matters when you donate money.
I was kind of hoping Former would put maybe a little stuff to that. Maybe they don't have as much pull.
Maybe.
I like to think that anyway. But what do I know? You want to go Stupidity? We didn't really do a Jumbotron.
Correct. Yeah, let's jump to stupidity.
Okay.
I've got my man Odell Beckham. Kind of making a return, but it's coming up because LSU has officially banned him from 2 years. If you've seen the video, handing out money at the national championship game. What an idiot. Just a moron.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. Not good.
He also likes to shit on people, apparently. His old football program. Too soon?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, just why?
Yeah, it's dumb.
Like, when he did that, everybody was just like, could you not just, like, maybe do it a little bit more secretive?
Right.
My first one is, I think this is Fox. And they did a QB comparison, career QB comparison, to Phillip Rivers and Joe Burrow. Just, like, why?
What, 5 games in?
Yeah, they did age, they did passing yards, passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and children. Which that's funny, but just why?
Does Joe Burrow have any?
No. I don't understand. It's a fail. It's or stupidity. Just
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
like Philip Rivers has 60,000 yards and Joe Burrow has like 1,500.
Right. Yeah. Someone asked, do you all think the Seahawks sign AB?
They're one team that, like, if AB were, like, that would be a place where he would probably be successful.
Yeah, it kind of seems like
Like, you have to have an alpha at quarterback for AB.
Well, it also just, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like his career might be done.
Yeah, it probably. I just don't know. Like, why do you need him? You have DK Metcalf. You have Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why you try and sign him if he can agree to some of the things that you
He's just
set
a
forward.
cancer, and I don't think, like, are they? They're undefeated right now, aren't they? So I don't know why you would risk the locker room when you're undefeated right now.
Don't disagree with that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I feel like Pete Carroll would be the guy that could probably get him to. I feel like he's one of those guys that could get him to at least for a season.
Yeah.
Somewhat, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll be yeah, I'm with you. Wow. I don't think they should. Yeah. No reason to. My next one, I've got Jeffrey Tobin. Jeffrey Tobin
what?
of the New Yorker masturbated on a Zoom call this weekend. Did you not see this? He's an author for the New Yorker. Well, I don't know if I guess he's employed by the New Yorker. And
Is he still?
I think he's just been suspended right now. Because I guess they got to investigate.
They got to watch it.
But then did you hear about the Rudy Giuliani stuff today? In the new Borat movie, apparently he's caught masturbating on a hidden camera. In the new Borat movie. Because they like play one of their journalism pranks on him.
Like, why? Why can't you just, like...
I don't know.
Dude, just do it in your own private time.
God.
Is it just the thrill of almost getting caught? Is that...
Well, Rudy didn't know he was being filmed.
But this
guy
guy's
was
on
a Zoom call.
Yeah, it's just like...
Did he think his camera was off?
I guess.
There's a light, at least on the Apple products, but is there a light on... I feel like there's lights on most computers that tell you your camera's on.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing while on the Zoom call to be like, gotta get this one rubbed out real quick?
Oh, yeah. She looks good.
Golly, dude.
Or he looks good. I mean, I don't judge.
You got any more stupidities?
I do. So, I don't know who wrote this article, but it says Jeremy Pruitt is coaching like a poor man's Butch Jones.
Yeah, they compared records, and I'm like, I'm not happy with Pruitt's.
But he did inherit Butch Jones, so
He
that's
also
kind of
inherited Butch Jones. Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of unfair.
I can't argue that it doesn't look good right now, but I think the state of the program
Is in a lot better place.
at least as it stands today.
Right. Yeah.
Could it be different?
Yeah.
At the end of the year?
If
Maybe.
we lose out and you write that article, sure.
Right.
But I just...
Right now seems
Jeremy
a little
Pruitt went to
premature.
a bowl game in year 2 where Butch Jones at the end of his Tennessee tenure,
Hey,
we're the worst team in school history.
Vols are bowl eligible.
They are. They are 2 in a row.
Yeah, that's a interesting article. I feel like you just cherry picked and waited on a bad loss to do it. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever. Float your boat.
Yep.
Do you have any more?
No, that's all I got.
I have one more. So Addison Rae, I think she's like a TikToker, like a famous
Nice. Yeah,
person.
cool.
She says,
I'm famous on TikTok.
You are. She said 4 million on Twitter. Thank you so much. Only 96 million more until 1 billion.
Yeah, who told her? Anybody tell her?
She deleted it.
Smart move, Addison. Smart move.
But not screenshots last forever.
Screenshots last forever.
That's all I got. Love it.
Everything on the internet, Jeffrey Tobin and kids, stays on the internet.
Math is hard.
Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. Mm-hmm. Be careful.
Yep.
I wish she'd just kept it. Just stuck to her guns. Yeah, I'd rather be right than win.
Exactly.
I can
She
respect.
would be real disappointed when she gets those 96 million and it's only 100 million.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Guys, really appreciate y'all. We've been on for a while, so I'll try to wrap this up quick. Really appreciate you guys for sticking with us through the whole thing. This will be available on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. It'll be available there. Obviously on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. After we go live, it'll stay around. Really do appreciate you. We'll be back Saturday for Keys to the Game, and then Sunday for our next show. Make sure you check out all the other shows on Volunteer Roadshow. You can go to volunteerroadshow.com to see those, or Facebook and Twitter. I think that's all I got.
Guys, we're gonna talk ourselves into a win on Saturday. Tennessee's gonna be back. We're gonna get it fixed. We're gonna get it right the ship, and we're bringing the boat in, and we out.